Food Diva Test Kitchen again with Pereg Natural Foods. And today is going to be the almond meal flour as a star. We're going to make the spinach and goat cheese quiche. So our ingredients today are the almond meal flour, we've got milk, we've got coconut oil, we've got red pepper flakes, we've got goat cheese, salt, eggs, and then we've got our wonderful produce from Melissa's, fresh rosemary, spinach, and shallots. So the first thing we're going to do is start on the crust. So we've got our 2 cups of almond meal flour. Add to a bowl. And we're going to add the salt. And we're just going to stir together. Now we're going to add our other ingredients. We've got chopped rosemary. And add a 1 whisked egg. And then 1 or a couple tablespoons of melted coconut oil. I'm going to combine into a ball, or as on the directions it says shaggy ball, whatever that means. But we'll find out when it combines. As I'm mixing, it looks like cookie dough. Let's see. I think this is what they call a shaggy ball. It's not quite a ball, but it's kind of shaggy. Got our greased pie pan or pie plate. The texture as I'm pressing it feels very mealy from the almond flour. There's definite texture. It's not just like pie crust using like multi-purpose flour. Okay, pie crust is ready. We're going to go ahead and put the crust in the oven, 375 degrees. Okay, while the crust is baking in the oven and getting lightly golden brown, we're going to go ahead and start on the filling. You have to first saute the shallots and the spinach together. Okay, we're going to saute these until they get translucent, and then we'll add the spinach. We're just going to saute till it just gets wilted. Alright, just wilted, and we're going to take it off the heat so it cools down before we put it in with the egg mixture, because we don't want it to cook the eggs before we actually get it in the oven. Okay, we're going to start on the filling, which we're going to start with 6 eggs. I'm going to whisk together with milk, coconut oil, salt, and red pepper flakes. Got a nice creamy yellow consistency. Okay, now we're going to add the spinach and shallot mixture, and then also the diced up goat cheese. So I'll combine, you can see. And we're going to put it in the pie crust. It's going to kind of disperse all the goat cheese kind of fell to the bottom, so moving around so we have goat cheese everywhere. Now I'm going to put a baking sheet underneath just in case it boils over, because it's right at the top of this pie dish. And this is going to go in the oven for 35 minutes or until it slightly jiggles. Look at this beautiful bubbling goodness. So we're going to let it cool for a little bit, and then it'll be ready for us to eat. So this is the spinach goat cheese quiche using the Pereg Natural Foods Almond multi-purpose flour. Hi, we're back in the OC Food Diva test kitchen again. We're trying more products from Pereg Natural Foods. Tonight it's chickpea multi-purpose flour. And we're trying the rosemary Soccas. It's like a flatbread. Recipes on the back. So this includes chickpea flour, paso olivo extra virgin olive oil, pepper, salt, and fresh rosemary from Melissa's. So we're going to go ahead and get the batter going, and then I'm going to go into the oven. I'm going to start the batter now. So we've got our chickpea flour, we've got our minced up rosemary, pepper, salt, olive oil, and then we've got our warm water. And I'm going to go ahead and whisk this together, and the final product's supposed to turn out like pancake batter. So just get all the lumps out. You ever had like roasted chickpeas or fried chickpeas? It's kind of what this flour smells like. It has like a kind of a roasty, nutty aroma to it. Okay, it looks like we've got the consistency we want. We just need to let the batter rest for 1 hour, and then we'll be right back. Okay, we're going to put it in the cast iron skillet, this heavy skillet, into the oven to warm up for about 3 minutes. I think I need to do 2 hands. It's hot in there. Okay, the pan is ready, so we're going to go ahead and take it out. So this makes 2 Soccas, so I'm just going to do half the batter. Okay, I'm going to stick it in the oven. Okay, let it cook for 2 to 3 minutes and check and see if it's brown. Okay, the first Socca is ready. I'm just going to do a quick flip so I can get a little crispy on the other side since it's hot. Okay, we're going to let this one go for 5 minutes until it gets brown. Okay, rosemary Soccas with the Pereg Natural Foods chickpea flour. Hi, we're back in the OC Food Diva test kitchen again with Pereg Natural Foods. Today's star is the Buckwheat multi-purpose flour. We're going to be making the savory buckwheat crepes that are on the back of the package. So buckwheat flour, kosher salt, paso olivo extra virgin olive oil, eggs, and milk. We're going to get started with the batter. Okay, we're going to start with the wet ingredients. So we've got our milk, eggs, 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, now we're going to whisk these together. So it's kind of looks like a custard batter. Now we're going to add the dry ingredients in it. So we've got salt, and then our buckwheat flour. Kind of looks like a peppery mixture. Okay, now we're going to put this in the fridge for an hour, and then we'll be ready to hit the pan. The pan is nice and heated, so we're going to go ahead and add some olive oil. Directions say let it cook for 2 minutes. I'm going to do a quick turn so that the top side gets some brown on it as well. I've got wax paper to keep it separated so the crepes can stick together. The last crepe is done. This recipe actually made 8 crepes, just to let you know, because the package says 6 to 7. I actually got 8. So I'm going to do a quick dessert crepe with these because they're very neutral in flavor. I mean, they're kind of nutty, but they're neutral enough to where you can put something sweet on it and it tastes pretty good. So I've got some Nutella. These are like the nice crepes that they have on TV. And then we have Melissa's dessert sauce. This is raspberry, so I thought it would go good with the Nutella. And voila! We have a dessert crepe with Nutella, buckwheat crepe, and then raspberry sauce. Hi, we're back in the OC Food Diva test kitchen again with Pereg Natural Foods. Today's star is the quinoa multi-purpose flour. Today we're going to do the quinoa almond chocolate chunk cookies. So for that we'll need sugar, the flour, milk, grapeseed oil, baking soda, almonds, cinnamon, vanilla extract, and then chocolate chunks, but we're using Nestle's Toll House because that's what I have on hand. So we're going to start with the dry ingredients. So we've got our quinoa flour, we've got our sugar, we've got our baking soda, cinnamon, and then I also ground up the almonds to make a almond kind of powder-ish. I used the NutriBullet to do it. So some of it got into like kind of pasty like almond butter, but it's going to go in a dough anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So just going to whisk this together so everything's like distributed. It's kind of like a mealy texture. Now we're going to add our oil. And then I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but we forgot our eggs. So there's 2 eggs. So you may not need it. I use my hands just wanted to kind of break up that egg first. It's perfect texture. It's kind of sticky, but I'm also going to add the chocolate chips in there, so I need it to be able to kind of stick to the chocolate chips as well. So, chocolate chips. Wooden spoon to mix in the chocolate chips. Okay. Feels like a good cookie dough. If you don't already have one of these, it's a melon baller, but it's perfect for making cookies because it's a perfect round ball, and your cookies are going to spread out. So go ahead and scoop. Make sure you grab some chocolate chips while you're in there. Okay, we've made 26 cookies out of this recipe, so the oven is up to 325 degrees. We're going to put them in the oven for 12 to 14 minutes until they're ready. I'm going to check and see if they may be a little too soft for me to take off the cookie sheet, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to let them cool on the baking sheets for 5 minutes, and I'll come and check and then pull them off, and then we'll put them on the actual cookie racks to cool completely. The cookies are now cooled after 5 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and take them off the cookie sheet and put them on the tray so they can finish their cooling process. Okay, so we've got our quinoa almond chocolate chunk cookies. Hi, we're in the OC Food Diva test kitchen again, trying out Pereg food products. They make a line of flours, different kind of flours, gluten-free, vegetarian flours. This one happens to be the Farro multi-purpose flour. We're going to do a mini Farro caprese pizzas with this. And I've got the ingredients for it. So we've got honey, we've got crushed red peppers, salt and pepper, we've got yeast, we've got fresh mozzarella, so it's the soft mozzarella where you can slice it up and put it on top of pizzas. And then we've got fresh produce from Melissa's, we've got fresh basil herb leaves, and then we've got tomatoes on the vine, and then Paso Olivo extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to start with the dough. It's going to take some time to, combine and get the yeast to activate, and then we'll start rolling them out and make some pizzas. Okay, we're going to start on the dough. So notice that this package doesn't quite have enough for the recipe. We need 2.5 to 3 cups of the flour. So this is not gluten-free flour, so I'm going to go ahead and add a 1/4 cup of just multi-purpose flour, just to make sure I get the right amount of dry ingredients in there. 1/4 cup of flour, yeast. Honey helps the yeast feed and grow. It needs that sugar. And then we've got warm water that's has to be 110, between 110 and 120 degrees. Hot enough or warm enough to make the yeast happy, but not hot enough to kill it. So, go ahead and put that in now. I'm not sure if this was enough water, because it's pretty dry. So I'm going to let it rest for 10 minutes like the package directions. See what it does, because we need to add, need to add more water. So we'll see if it does the trick. Notice that it was very dry, and I misread the recipe. So it was supposed to be 1 cup of Farro flour, but it also doesn't mention about the other, 2.5 cups to 3, or 2.5 cups of flour that's supposed to be used in the recipe. So I'm going to go ahead since I've already combined all the stuff, is add the rest of the water that it asks in the next step. So it's 1.5 cups of warm water. And it's starting to look a little better. It's actually combining. So we'll be able to see the foaming action now, because we've got more liquid in here. It actually looks like, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like oatmeal. So we'll see how it looks in about 10 minutes. Okay, while the dough is getting foamy, we're going to go ahead and prep the tomatoes. We're going to slice them up, and mozzarella, and then the basil. So start with tomatoes. Creamy. The recipe actually calls for like chopping or slicing up the basil. I think basil leaves are prettier on the pizza whole. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick some leaves off. We got all of our Italian flag right here going. Okay, so we let the dough rest for 10 minutes, and it's gotten foamy. It doesn't quite look like oatmeal anymore. And you can see the yeast is working. There's a lot of bubbles in here. But it is still a little liquidy to knead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of flour and mix it up and see how it gets. But first I'm going to add the olive oil. When you make dough, it's usually done with like a hook, and you get that ball forming in the middle. We're not getting that yet, so I'm going to add 1 more 1/4 cup. I think it's almost there. I'm going to let it sit for another 5 minutes to just make sure. Before, I don't want to add too much flour. Okay, so the dough has gotten to kind of the thickness we want it, or stickiness we want it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the salt and then stir it in, and then we're going to get our work surface ready for the kneading process. And then we can, since we need to flour the surface, we're going to be adding more flour, so it'll help get this into more of a ball consistency. Flour on the surface. You can see it's really sticky. We're going to go ahead and let this rest for 10 minutes, and we'll come back and start rolling it out. So we let the dough rest for 10 minutes under some plastic wrap. So now I'm going to split it. The recipe's for 4 small pizzas, so what we're going to do is we're just going to make 2, because it's just 2 of us. I'm just going to split this in half roll out one of them, cook it, and then we'll cook another one later. Just going to kind of make it into a ball so it's easier to roll out into a nice circle. Cornmeal is to act like a kind of like little roller balls, so that you can slide the pizza onto the pizza stone inside the oven. Perfect. Okay, we're going to go ahead and top the farro dough with the cheese and tomatoes. What we're going to do is going to put this in for 5 minutes, and then the 5-minute mark we're going to add some basil, and then we'll finish cooking. Okay, so since we split the dough in half and we made 2 pizzas instead of 4, the pizza actually took almost 25 minutes to bake, and then I had to take the basil off because it started to burn. So what we're going to do is we're going to take it out and put some fresh basil on so you have the nice vibrant color, and then we'll go ahead and cut it up. Our beautiful pizza. The mozzarella got a little bit of brown, but it's okay. So there's our farro dough caprese pizza. Hi, we're in the OC Food Diva Test Kitchen again with Pereg Natural Foods. Tonight's star is the mixed spices chicken seasoning. We're going to go ahead and make a roast chicken with Foster Farms chicken, and then we've got ruby gold potatoes from Melissa's Produce. So I'm going to go ahead and wash the chicken, which basically is using kosher salt and water to kind of kill any germs or bacteria that's on the outside and the interior of the chicken. And then I'm going to go and foil the pan up, and then we're going to put the potatoes in and season the chicken and put it in the oven. The chicken is washed in my little kosher salt and water rinse, and I've also got the giblets in here, the neck, the liver, and the heart. And then I've washed my potatoes. So now we're going to go ahead and season up the chicken. It smells delicious. You can smell, definitely smell the smoked paprika in there. It smells so good. So we're just going to do a liberal seasoning of it. Right in. Okay, that's good. In. I like to do that on the top of the chicken so the foil doesn't stick, and then rip off all my beautiful chicken skin, which is what I really like. Okay, so got it all covered and stick it into the oven at 350 degrees for 2 hours, and then I'll take off the foil and cook the chicken for about a half an hour more to brown the skin. It's been 2 hours, so we're going to go ahead and check the chicken. Oops. A lot of juice came out of this chicken. Just taking out some of this juice so it doesn't overfill in the oven. A good way to check the chicken too is to wiggle the leg. And if it's pretty much break away, then it's ready. But we need to brown the outside first, so it's going to go in for another half an hour just to crisp the skin. Browning process is now complete. We're going to go ahead and take the chicken out of the oven. Oh, and it smells delicious. So we've got our roasted chicken with the Pereg chicken spiced rub, and I've got the red potatoes, and I'm ready to eat. Are you hungry? We're in the OC Food Diva test kitchen again with Pereg Natural Foods. On our last flour, this is coconut multi-purpose flour. And today we're going to make the coconut flour biscuits, which include coconut oil, salt, eggs, baking powder, and brown rice syrup. This is really hard to find. I found it at Whole Foods, but it's there, it's available. So we're going to go ahead and get our ingredients ready and start prepping the biscuits. Okay, we're going to go ahead and separate the eggs. So if you have a handy dandy egg separator, go ahead and use that. You can also use the shell as a separator. You can use your hands. You can also use a water bottle, the crunchy kind of water bottle like Costco or Crystal Geyser. It's the very thin bottle. You use it and you can actually suck up the egg yolk. But I've got this, so I'm going to use that. Just kind of give it a gentle shake so that the whites fall off. I'm going to put our egg whites in a bowl because we're going to whip them up. Okay, so we've got soft peaks. It's staying together, but it's not super rigid and it's not super soft. So perfect. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fold in these yolks, but I'm going to go ahead and whisk them up first. So I'm assuming this recipe is using egg whites as a leavening agent along with the baking powder. So now we're just going to fold in the yolks. Pretty good. It looks like a kind of like a fluffy custard. Start on the dry ingredients. We've got our coconut flour, our baking powder, and salt. Together to incorporate. Fold some of this in. Okay, so it kind of resembles like a pâte à choux type dough. It's kind of sticky, so I'm probably going to do, the recipe says actually to form them into little biscuits, but I'm actually going to try to do like drop biscuits on these guys. See how that turns out. Okay, I forgot to add in the brown syrup, so I've got to add the syrup in there. I have to say this coconut flour smells really delicious. Like when you open up the package, it smells like a bag of like coconut macaroons. So I definitely want to try this recipe or this flour again to do maybe cookies, like with chocolate chips. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and try to put the biscuits together. Okay, so we're going to take this dough and divide it into 4. So we've got 4. This recipe makes 4. So we're going to stick them in the oven for 12 minutes until we get the little golden brown crust on the bottom. Okay, the biscuits are ready. We're going to go ahead and take them out of the oven. We left them in there for an extra 4 minutes to get the tops browned. So looking good. They didn't rise quite like a biscuit. They look more like puffy cookies, but I'm going to go ahead and put them on the rack to cool for a little bit. And then probably serve it with some butter or extra. You could probably sweeten it with some more rice syrup or honey, whatever your choice is. But if you want to keep it more vegan, probably just keep it with the rice syrup, or if you have some kind of like maple syrup or something like that, that would be good. Other than that, I guess we're done with the Pereg natural products for the flours that concern, and we'll see you again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hi, we're back in the OC Food Diva test kitchen with Pereg Natural Foods. Today's star is the barbecue mixed spices blend from Pereg. We're going to rub it on a pork picnic shoulder. If you're watching your salt intake, you probably don't want to do the kosher salt addition, but this is a little light in the salt department for us, so we're adding extra salt and some garlic. So let's get started. We're going to take the garlic and we're going to smash up the cloves, and what we're going to do is we're going to make pockets inside the meat. You're going to push them in there along with some rub as well, but I want to smash these up first. Also an easy way to chop garlic too and peel it. Just hitting it with a knife, and it pulls that papery skin off of it. Okay, we've got our cloves of garlic all mashed up, and now I'm going to go ahead and open up the pork shoulder. This is about 8 pounds picnic roast, bone in. They're on sale at Smart and Final for a really good price, so I just had to pick them up. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to score the skin a little bit so that the fat starts to render. This is a Yan Can Cook cleaver, and it's super sharp, so it's good for scoring skin. As you can see, it's kind of like diamond-shaped scores. You just want to get it through that skin layer so that the fat underneath starts to render and starts to make it crispy. And then I'm going to take a knife and make little pockets in the meat. I'm going to use this 6 on the other. Okay, all the garlic cloves are inside all the little pockets. So now we're going to go ahead and put some salt on. Oops. Looks like we've got a hole blown out on the bottom of this. Again, if you're watching your salt, you don't have to do this step. You can be pretty liberal or generous with this rub because it doesn't have much salt in it, but it has a lot of spices. Make sure you get it on the skin and everything else so it helps the skin to caramelize. We're going to go ahead and stick this in the oven, uncovered, for we'll probably do 3 to 4 hours at 300 degrees, and then we'll check on it. If the skin's nice and brown and crispy, we'll go ahead and cover it and then leave it in for another 2 to 3 hours to get the rest of the pork tender. It's been 3 hours, and we're going to go ahead and take the pork out and check out the color, and then if it's nice and golden brown on the outside, we're going to tint it. Got some nice golden brown action on the skin. We've got some fat rendering as well, which is good. I'm also going to up the heat a little bit. I'm going to go up to 350. And then we're going to go for another 2 hours. Okay, the pork is ready. Let's take it out of the oven. A nice crispy exterior on that skin. Should be nice. Can't wait to eat that. And then see how tender the pork is. It's just flaking off of the bone. So you can either, just pull it off to serve, or you can pull it and then make pulled pork out of it. A lot of different things. You could shred it up and put it in an omelet, make a sandwich, all kinds of things. So it's ready to go, and we're ready to eat. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. We'll see you next time.